Hello, and welcome back to Bedtime Fables. The world outside is growing quiet now, as the sun pulls its warm, golden blanket below the edge of the world. It's time for us to find our own cozy spot, to snuggle down deep and let the day's adventures become soft, sleepy memories. Tonight, our story takes us to the high, silent peaks of the world, to a place where the mountains hold a very big and very kind secret. So let your breathing grow soft and slow, and let your body feel heavy and relaxed as our story begins. In a land of green valleys and winding rivers, where the softest grass grew and the clearest water flowed, there was a great stony mountain that stood taller than all the others. To the birds that soared on the high currents of the wind, and to the little creatures who made their homes in the valley below, it was simply the great mountainer, quiet, unmoving piece of the world, strong and silent and always, always there. But the mountain had a secret as old as the stones themselves. It was not a mountain at all. It was a giant, a great, gentle, stone giant named Kael. All day long, from the first light of dawn to the last rays of sunset, he would sit perfectly still, his great back to the wind. He let the clouds drift by his head like puffs of dandelion fluff. He let the brave little mountain goats climb his rocky back, and he let the great eagles build their nests in the soft, green moss that grew in his hair. Being a mountain was his day's work, and it was a long, patient, and very, very quiet job. But when the sun had finished its journey and the moon rose to take her turn watching over the world, a deep, ancient magic would stir in the mountain's stony heart. When the last light in the valley's farmhouses had gone out, and all the little creatures were safely tucked in their beds, their bellies full and their minds ready for dreams, the mountain would begin to wake. With a sound like the slow grinding of the earth itself, a sound so low and deep that no one could ever hear it, the mountain would move. Kael would stretch his great, stony arms and legs, a 1,000-year-old yawn that shook the very bedrock. Beneath him, slowly, carefully, he would stand. His eyes would open, glowing with a soft, gentle light, the color of ancient amber. His secret work, the work of the night, was about to begin. Kael was the secret gardener of the valley. He was the silent caretaker of the forest. He would spend his nights performing quiet acts of kindness that no one ever knew about. His first task tonight was to visit a little stream he knew. A great storm had knocked a boulder into its path, and the water was backing up, unable to sing its happy, gurgling song to the sea. He knelt down, and with one careful, stony finger, he gently pushed the boulder aside. Immediately, the water rushed forward with a happy sigh. It flowed around Kael's giant fingers, a cool, thankful touch. He stayed there for a moment, his eyes closed, just listening. He could hear the water's joy as it continued its important journey, and it made his own ancient, stony heart feel a little lighter. Next, he traveled to a patch of land on a windy hill where nothing seemed to grow. In the palm of his other hand, he carried something precious, a tiny sapling, a baby pine tree he had found struggling in a place with too much shade. He used his thumb to gently press a hole into the soft earth, a perfect new home for the little tree, right where it would get the morning sun. He planted the little tree, tucking the earth around its roots like a warm blanket. Then he went to the stream and cupped his great hands, bringing back a small pool of water. He let it trickle down, a gentle, private rain shower just for the "New tree, grow strong, little one," he whispered, his voice the sound of shifting rock. "One day, you will be a home for many friends." His journey then took him to a low meadow where a little river was struggling. It had lost its way in the flat land and was spreading into a shallow, muddy puddle, its strength fading. Kael knew that without a clear path, it would soon vanish. With his hand, as big as a cottage, he gently scooped a new, better path for it in the earth. A soft, winding channel that would guide its water back to the great river that flowed through the heart of the valley. The little river sighed with relief as it found its new path. It flowed into the channel Kael had made, a perfect, meandering course that felt just right. As it trickled past, the water seemed to sparkle with a special gratitude, its happy, babbling sound a thank you note written on the quiet night air. Kael felt the river's joy and it warmed him to his stony core. As he watched the river, he noticed a tiny problem. A family of field mice stood on the bank, their little noses twitching as they looked at a patch of sweet moonberries on the other side. But the stream was too wide and too fast for them to cross. Kael searched the riverbank and found a long, flat stone. With the care of a watchmaker, he laid it gently across the water, creating a grand, safe bridge for the tiniest of travelers. The mice, squeaking with delight, scampered across their new bridge. They gathered the sweet berries, their little hearts full of happiness, and their bellies soon to follow. They did not know who had helped them, but they felt a great kindness in the air that night. Kael watched them, a deep, rumbling chuckle of contentment echoing silently within his chest. He then turned his attention to a high cliff, where he knew a spring of fresh, clean water was trapped, forming a stagnant pool that never went anywhere. The water was sad and still. With the tip of a sharp stone, he gently, carefully etched a little path for it down the rock face, a tiny, winding slide for the water to play on. Soon, a tiny, brand new waterfall was trickling down, its quiet, musical splash a new and happy sound in the silent night. It was the water's first song. The water trickled down and collected in a smooth, bowl-shaped rock at the bottom, a gift that would be enjoyed long after he had become a mountain again. Kael smiled a slow, stony smile. He could already imagine it. In the morning, the little birds of the forest, the robins and the sparrows, would discover a brand new place to drink and splash and sing their own cheerful songs. He noticed a fallen log had rolled and partially blocked the entrance to a fox's den. Inside, a mother fox and her kids were sleeping, unaware of the danger. With a touch as delicate as a falling leaf, Kael took the great log between two fingers and lifted it away, placing it safely nearby. He was a guardian, not just of the trees and rivers, but of its families too. He saw a clearing on a high ridge where the wind always blew cold and nothing soft would grow. He went to a lush, damp part of the forest and gathered a great, green blanket of moss in his hand. He carried it to the clearing and laid it down, a soft, warm carpet for any little creature seeking shelter from the wind. But the night, no matter how beautiful, could not last forever. Kael looked to the east and saw the very first, faint hint of the coming day. The stars were beginning to fade, like sleepy eyes getting ready to close. His secret work for the night was almost done. With a deep, silent sigh that stirred the mist in the valley, he began his slow journey home. He walked with a heavy, deliberate pace, his great stone feet leaving no trace on the land he so carefully tended. He had to be back in his spot, perfectly still, before the first animal awoke. He reached his place at the top of the world and began to settle. He sat down, arranging his legs to look like rocky ridges, and folded his arms to look like stony cliffs. It was a position he had held for 1,000 years, and it felt like coming home. He looked out over the sleeping valley one last time. He saw the river flowing in its new, happy path, the sapling safe in its clearing, and the fox den secure. His work was good. With a final, slow blink, his glowing eyes closed, and the gentle light within them faded away. And as the sun rose, casting its warm, golden light upon the peaks, he was gone. There was no giant to be seen. There was only the mountain, strong and silent, keeping its sleepy secret for another day. The creatures of the valley awoke to a world that was just a little bit better than the day before. A rabbit found a new, clear stream to drink from. A family of birds discovered a brand new bird bath, perfect for their morning splash. They didn't know how these good things appeared. They just knew their forest was a kind and wonderful place to live. And high above, the mountain watched them, a silent, loving guardian. Kael's greatest joy was not in being seen, but in the quiet, secret knowledge that his small, nightly acts of kindness helped his world to flourish. The seasons turned, as they always do. Summer's green gave way to autumn's gold, and autumn's gold gave way to winter's white. And every single night, when the world was asleep, Kael, the massive giant made of weathered stone, would wake to perform his gentle, secret work, no matter the season. In the deep of winter, he would gently shake the heavy snow from the branches of the evergreen trees so they would not break. His touch was so light that it looked as if the wind itself was setting the snow free to dance in the moonlight. He would see where the little animals had their burrows, and he would use his great finger to press a clear path through the deep snow for them. A secret road that would lead them safely from their warm homes to the winter berries that still clung to the bushes. And when the winter grew old and tired, he would help the spring find its way. He would break the thick ice on the river so the water could be free again. And he would gently push aside the last of the snow from the patches where he knew the first. Bravest flowers were waiting to grow. He never asked for thanks. He never needed to be seen. His happiness was the happiness of the valley, the safety of the little creatures, the health of the trees, and the joyful song of the river were all the reward his great, stony heart would ever need. The sun rose, painting the valley in shades of gold and green, and the world awoke, unaware of the giant's secret work. The little creatures of the forest went about their day, finding their world just a little bit kinder than it had been the day before. A family of rabbits discovered that a thorny vine, which had blocked the entrance to their favorite clover patch, had been gently moved aside. A flock of sparrows found a brand new, perfectly shaped bird bath filled with clean, fresh water, right where an old, cracked stone used to be. They didn't question these small miracles. They simply enjoyed them, feeling that their forest was a very good and caring place to live. An old woodsman who lived at the edge of the valley and who knew the forest like the back of his hand would often scratch his head in wonder. He had walked these paths for 60 years. One morning, he would find a new, clear path through a thicket that had been impassable the day before. Another morning, he would discover a young sapling growing in a barren spot on a hill where he knew no tree had ever grown. He would look up at the great silent mountain and smile. He called it the magic of the mountain, and he wasn't wrong. And as the day unfolded, Kael, the massive giant made of weathered stone, rested in his deep mountain slumber. He didn't dream of adventures or grand feasts, for a giant's dreams are as slow and as long as the turning of the earth. He dreamed of the feeling of warm sun on his stone back, the cool, gentle whisper of the clouds drifting past his face, and the tiny tickling footsteps of the little creatures who made their homes upon him, completely unaware that their whole world was resting on the shoulders of a kind and loving friend. As the afternoon wore on, a change came to the valley. The sky, which had been a cheerful, cloudless blue, began to bruise with shades of deep grey and purple at the edges. A cold wind, a messenger from the coming storm, started to whisper through the trees. It was not a playful whisper, but a nervous, hurried sound that told all the animals to seek shelter. For a great storm was rolling in from over the sea. The creatures of the valley understood the storm's language. The squirrels, chittering warnings to each other, vanished into their cozy nests high in the trees. The rabbits disappeared into the deep, safe warmth of their underground warrens. A mother deer gently nudged her fawn into the shelter of a dense thicket of pine trees, whose thick needles would keep them dry. The valley grew quiet, holding its breath as the sky grew darker and darker. The storm broke with a great roaring clap of thunder and a flash of brilliant, white lightning that lit up the entire valley for a heartbeat. Rain fell in great sheeting curtains, and the wind howled like a hungry wolf through the high passes. Through it all, the great mountains sat unmoving. Kael took the full force of the storm's fury, his massive stone body a shield for the valley that lay in his lee, protecting the gentler slopes and the homes of the little creatures from the worst of the wind. But even with the mountain's protection, the storm was a frightening thing. In the chaos of the wind and the flashes of light, a little fawn had become separated from its mother. It had zigged when its mother had zagged, and now it was lost, and scared and trembling in the cold, driving rain, its big, dark eyes wide with fear, calling out a tiny, bleating cry that was swallowed by the roar of the thunder. High on his peak, Kael felt the little fawn's terror. He felt it like a sharp, cold stone in his own great heart. He knew he could not wait for the sun to fully set. The little one was in danger, breaking his ancient 1,000-year-old rule. He began to stir, his stony form coming to life amidst the swirling rain and mist. He moved through the storm-tossed forest, his movements as quiet as the falling rain. He found the little fawn, and with a gentleness that defied his size, he cupped his giant hand over it. The rain stopped, and the wind could no longer reach it. The fawn was suddenly in a small, safe, and perfectly dry cave, the sound of the storm now a distant, muffled rumble. The little fawn, startled but no longer terrified, looked up, through a tiny crack between two of the giant's fingers. A soft, warm, amber light shone down, the gentle glow from Kael's kind eyes. It was a light that spoke of safety and of a kindness as big as a mountain. The fawn, feeling this warmth, let out a soft, relieved sigh. And then, through the sound of the storm, came another sound, the worried, frantic call of the fawn's mother, searching for her lost baby. Kael heard it too, and he knew it was time to reunite them. He lifted his hand slowly, raising the little fawn up on his great stony palm as if it were a tiny, precious treasure. He followed the sound of the mother's call, and with a gentle nudge of his mossy finger, he showed the fawn the way to go. The fawn leaped from his hand and bounded through the trees, straight to its mother's loving embrace. Kael watched for a single, happy moment, his great heart feeling warm despite the cold rain. Then, as quietly as he had come, he turned and walked back toward his peak. As he settled back into his mountain form, the storm began to pass. The thunder rumbled a final, sleepy goodbye, and the rain softened to a gentle drizzle. The moon broke through the clouds, washing the clean, wet world in its peaceful, silver light. The great giant was a mountain again, his secret safe for another night. He had faced the storm, saved a friend, and brought a family back together. And now, at last, his own long, deep, and peaceful rest could begin. And now, the whole world is ready for sleep. The storm has passed, and it has washed the day away, leaving everything feeling clean and fresh and new. A deep, comfortable quiet has settled over the land. A quiet that feels full of peace and the promise of a beautiful morning. Think of how safe that little fawn felt, sheltered from the big storm by a kind, stony hand. That is how safe you are, right now, in your own warm bed. The world outside can be busy and noisy, but in here, you are perfectly safe, perfectly cozy, and perfectly ready for a long and wonderful sleep. Feel the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing. Let it be as deep and as peaceful as the sleeping mountain. A long, gentle breath in, and a long, soft breath out. This quiet rhythm is the oldest song in the world, a lullaby to help you drift away into the deepest, most restful sleep. You can feel yourself drifting now, letting go of everything, floating gently in a warm, dark, and comfortable space. Your mind is quiet, your body is still. You are on your way to your own wonderful, secret dreams, a place where anything is possible and everything is peaceful. And as you fall asleep, the great stone giant is dreaming too. He is dreaming of all the little creatures sleeping safely in the valley he loves. He is dreaming of kindness and of the quiet, secret joy that comes from helping others, a joy that keeps his own great heart warm through the long, still day. Thank you for discovering the mountain's secret with us at Bedtime Fables. There are so many more gentle wonders waiting to be found. If you would like to join us, you can ask your grown-up to tap the subscribe button so we can all meet again for our next sleepy adventure. Until then, may your dreams be as peaceful as a sleeping mountain. Good night.